Hello PCA members and Porsche enthusiasts. Dear friends, we find ourselves in an unprecedented situation with the coronavirus pandemic. I hope this message finds you and your families healthy and safe. I can assure you that PCA has moved quickly to meet the mandates and guidance of our local and national governments. We have taken steps to protect members, staff, and our local communities. We've canceled national and regional events. We've established full work from home procedures for all of our employees. We're using video teleconferencing for our volunteer organizational meetings. Members are doing their part as well. In an ongoing series, Members Making a Difference, we are sharing heartfelt stories from throughout PCA. One of my favorite stories is PCA members in New York delivering groceries to elderly family for PCA members in California. You see, the PCA family is everywhere. You may find yourselves at this time longing to take a drive in your Porsche and to spend some time with your Porsche enthusiast friends. PCA is our collective creation to satisfy those longings, those desires. I hope you remember how fortunate we all are to be Porsche owners and to have PCA to fulfill those desires. And now, it is my great pleasure to introduce to you Peach State Region Member, President and CEO of Porsche Cars North America, Mr. Klaus Zelmer, who has a special message for our PCA members. Until we can meet again, please be safe.
Tom, thank you for that heartfelt message to the entire Porsche Club of America. And hello PCA members. I hope you and your loved ones are doing well and staying healthy. Like many of you, I'm working from home these days, but I can still drive for my essential needs, like groceries. And as you all know, a Porsche is good for everyday use, not just special events. So today I thought I'd greet you from the most typical place for a Porsche fan, behind the wheel. This is my personal 993 outside my home. As you know, Porsche takes pride in creating the world's greatest sports cars. And we are equally proud of PCA, the largest and most passionate Porsche club in the world. These are challenging times. It is especially important at a moment like this to have a community. As Tom said, PCA is there to provide this community for Porsche enthusiasts. I really appreciate the work that the PCA leadership and all of the members are doing to keep the spirit of Porsche going. I'm inspired by how you care for each other. Just like the story Tom mentioned of making grocery deliveries to elderly relatives of PCA members. This is the time for caring. In that spirit, PCA is prioritizing the health and safety of our employees. Since March 16th, the majority of our staff has been teleworking. A few people remain on location to do essential work in IT, security, our ports, and our warehouses. They are following strict guidelines on social distancing and hygiene. It is no surprise that this is a challenging time for our business. The showrooms of about half of our dealerships are closed, although many service departments remain open for your needs. We have moved fast to adapt. We created a program called Porsche at Your Service. It helps our dealer partners continue meeting the mobility needs of our customers, even when those customers are sheltering at home. The program expands the use of online selling for new and certified pre-owned cars. It helps more dealers offer home pickup and drop-off for maintenance, as well as home delivery for new purchases. There are even at-home test drives. Porsche Financial Services is helping by offering up to 90 days without payment on new and certified pre-owned cars. They are also extending current leases and offering deferred payments on leases and retail contracts on a case-by-case basis. So, make no mistake, Porsche remains open for business. And we are using this time to plan internally for how we can rebound as fast as possible when the recovery comes, which it will. I know this feels like a storm, but as we all know, all storms pass. Porsche will be ready to spring back, just as PCA will be ready to return to the track. Despite the pandemic, we were able to get journalists into the new 911 Turbo S, and their reviews have been excellent. Bloomberg even called the 992 Turbo S a new benchmark for measuring all other sports cars. The Cayenne Coupe is now available in the US. I look forward to hearing about your experiences with the athletic new variant of the popular Cayenne. Of course, there will be more later this year. You can count on Porsche to keep you thrilled with even better variants of your favorite models. I look forward to seeing you all again in person. Hitting the road with PCA is always a highlight for me. We'll be back behind the wheel together soon. Until then, please keep sharing your Porsche experiences on Instagram and other social channels. With hashtag PCA together, it will help the PCA community to continue thriving. Thank you and goodbye for now. Stay safe, stay healthy, and remember, never lift.
Hello PCA members and Porsche enthusiasts. Dear friends, we find ourselves in an unprecedented situation with the coronavirus pandemic. I hope this message finds you and your families healthy and safe. I can assure you that PCA has moved quickly to meet the mandates and guidance of our local and national governments. We have taken steps to protect members, staff, and our local communities. We've canceled national and regional events. We've established full work-from-home procedures for all of our employees. We're using video teleconferencing for our volunteer organizational meetings. Members are doing their part as well. In our ongoing series, Members Making a Difference, we are sharing heartfelt stories from throughout PCA. One of my favorite stories is PCA members in New York delivering groceries to elderly family for PCA members in California. You see, the PCA family is everywhere. You may find yourselves at this time longing to take a drive in your Porsche and to spend some time with your Porsche enthusiast friends. PCA is our collective creation to satisfy those longings, those desires. I hope you remember how fortunate we all are to be Porsche owners and to have PCA to fulfill those desires. And now it is my great pleasure to introduce to you Peach State Region Member, President and CEO of Porsche Cars North America, Mr. Klaus Zelmer, who has a special message for our PCA members. Until we can meet again, please be safe.
Tom, thank you for that heartfelt message to the entire Porsche Club of America. And hello, PCA members. I hope you and your loved ones are doing well and staying healthy. Like many of you, I'm working from home these days, but I can still drive for my essential needs, like groceries. And as you all know, a Porsche is good for everyday use, not just special events. So today I thought I'd greet you from the most typical place for a Porsche fan, behind the wheel. This is my personal 993 outside my home. As you know, Porsche takes pride in creating the world's greatest sports cars. And we are equally proud of PCA, the largest and most passionate Porsche club in the world. These are challenging times. It is especially important at a moment like this to have a community. As Tom said, PCA is there to provide this community for Porsche enthusiasts. I really appreciate the work that the PCA leadership and all of the members are doing to keep the spirit of Porsche going. I'm inspired by how you care for each other. Just like the story Tom mentioned of making grocery deliveries to elderly relatives of PCA members. This is the time for caring. In that spirit, PCA is prioritizing the health and safety of our employees. Since March 16th, the majority of our staff has been teleworking. A few people remain on location to do essential work in IT, security, our ports, and our warehouses. They are following strict guidelines on social distancing and hygiene. It is no surprise that this is a challenging time for our business. The showrooms of about half of our dealerships are closed, although many service departments remain open for your needs. We have moved fast to adapt. We created a program called Porsche at Your Service. It helps our dealer partners continue meeting the mobility needs of our customers, even when those customers are sheltering at home. The program expands the use of online selling for new and certified pre-owned cars. It helps more dealers offer home pickup and drop-off for maintenance, as well as home delivery for new purchases. There are even at-home test drives. Porsche Financial Services is helping by offering up to 90 days without payment on new and certified pre-owned cars. They are also extending current leases and offering deferred payments on leases and retail contracts on a case-by-case basis. So, make no mistake, Porsche remains open for business. And we are using this time to plan internally for how we can rebound as fast as possible when the recovery comes, which it will. I know this feels like a storm, but as we all know, all storms pass. Porsche will be ready to spring back, just as PCA will be ready to return to the track. Despite the pandemic, we were able to get journalists into the new 911 Turbo S, and their reviews have been excellent. Bloomberg even called the 992 Turbo S a new benchmark for measuring all other sports cars. The Cayenne Coupe is now available in the US. I look forward to hearing about your experiences with the athletic new variant of the popular Cayenne. Of course, there will be more later this year. You can count on Porsche to keep you thrilled with even better variants of your favorite models. I look forward to seeing you all again in person. Hitting the road with PCA is always a highlight for me. We'll be back behind the wheel together soon. Until then, please keep sharing your Porsche experiences on Instagram and other social channels. With hashtag PCA Together, it will help the PCA community to continue thriving. Thank you and goodbye for now. Stay safe, stay healthy, and remember, never lift.
Welcome back to PCA's Garage and the first episode of Tech Tactics Live. First and foremost, I hope that you, your family, are doing well during these difficult times. Here in Maryland, we are actually at a stay-at-home order, but we are able to come to the office for short stints and do a little bit of work and then just head back home. So we have really only about an hour to do this, and Tech Tactics Live was originally planned for us to be able to bring experts to either headquarters here at the garage, or actually take this setup and go over to events, go over to sponsors, advertisers, to show different technical pieces and share with you all. But today we're going to be a little bit limited because we are with the social distancing and such. I have people that are working remotely and people that are in the other end of the building, which they can't come and direct the camera. So we only have two camera angles for today. But I did do sort of a dry run a few days ago where some of the more detailed shots in here, when we get to it, we'll be able to post them up on the screen and you can see what I'm doing. I am not a professional mechanic. This is for entertainment purposes only. More than likely, a number of you I know are probably going to chime in online and make fun of my overalls or something. But today, most of us around here probably would have been at the Hershey swap meet, but of course that is canceled. Around the country, there are events that probably should have happened today, and you can't go to it, and we all have to do our parts about staying home. So hopefully this fills that void just a little bit, and you'll be able to have a little Porsche technical fun with us. And as I said, we normally would have wanted a professional doing it and me kind of following along with you online. Flip-flop because I can't get anyone here, but I do have someone that's very close to me, very close to PCA. He's a past PCA technical committee chair. He's on the current tech committee. He's a 40-year Porsche technician. He's a Gold Meister technician, and that is Peter Smith out of California. Peter, you're on the line?
I'm on the line, brother.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Hopefully there's people joining in online. Comments, feel free to, constructive comments, just kidding, feel free to post them, and the staff here as well as Peter Smith are watching those, and if he can answer those, he'll certainly chime in during the lulls while I'm doing the work. So the task at hand today, we only have an hour, so let's not waste too much time. Here we go. Let me see if I can get it into this picture. There you go. So this is a 997 short shift kit that we've bought. We're working on a 986. I believe this is a 99 car. And some people like shift kits, short shift kits. Other folks just love the way the factory has them from the factory and don't see an upgrade. I personally, my background, my earlier cars, for those of you that know, I also have a Mustang 5-liter, and back in the day, I had a very short shift kit on it with positive stop. So I'm just kind of used to that feel, that sort of clickety-click shifting. There are aftermarket kits out there that reduce, I don't know if you can see here, but, oh, by the way, chalk your wheels because you're not going to be using your e-brake, and you're going to be taking this in and out of gear. And also, we are going to be working on some of the electrical stuff, so if you want, you can pull the negative cable on the battery. So anyways, look at the throw. 4th gear, 3rd gear, So it's pretty long in a Boxster. And so aftermarket units typically reduce the throw about 30%, 35%. The GT3 shifter here, I think they say it's about 15%. So it's a nice balance in between. And some of the trade-offs, Peter, chime in here, but I believe some of the trade-offs when you do with a short shift kit is that it's a little bit more effort when it's shorter, and then also you might introduce sort of a notchiness feel. Am I right?
Correct.
So this is for a 986. Peter, this is also the same process for a 996. The interior is almost exactly the same. And some of you might be wondering about 997s and later models. I'm sure the basic idea of swapping out could probably be the same. Peter can chime in. But today we're focusing on 986, 996. All right, so let's get to it. First and foremost, because I'm going to be opening up this door, just want to make sure I don't bang it on anything. So a little tape, a little piece of cloth. All right. I'll be kneeling on this seat a lot, so I just have this pad here, foam pad, just to protect the seat. All right, tools. There should be a shot of tools that you'll need, but you'll need flathead screwdriver, sockets. I have this little pick tool here, 10 millimeter. It's always good to have a couple of 10 millimeter sockets because they always walk away somehow. And you'll need a Torx T27, a T20, and for this particular shifter, there's a set screw, so you'll need a 5 millimeter Allen head. All right, Peter, you ready to do this?
Let's do it, bro.
All right, here we go. So the first step, I like to work from one end to the other, so that way when I put it back, I will kind of go in the reverse. And so when you're taking things off, I learned this from watching some other YouTube video, and they called it the party train, where you just kind of line up your parts as you take them off. So when you put everything back together, you go in the opposite direction. Make sure that helps you from mixing up the screws and such, right? Do you do that, Peter?
Yes, pretty much.
Pretty much. All right, so some people take these pockets out, but you don't have to. If you have the pick tool, carefully go under here, and we're going to take the front trim ring off, or trim piece off, and you just give it a little tug, and it pops right out. So this is going to be the beginning of our train. I'm just going to put it in the floorboard here. The next part is popping off the shifter boot. Now, you have to be a little brave because they just clip in, and you'll hear a snap. There you go. If the car, I guess, maybe sits outside a lot, or some of these might break. Just something you have to be aware of. So you just pop it off. Now this one has a set screw in it, but not all of them, right, Peter? Do all of them have set screws?
On the shifter knob itself?
Yeah.
No.
No. Okay. So this one does. This one has a 5 millimeter and 5 millimeter Allen.
Yeah, that was a Tech Equipment shift knob. That's what they had a set screw in it.
Okay. So you're just loosening it, and it slides right up. So hopefully you can see right there the set screw. Now for the shifter knobs that don't have the set screw, you're just simply pulling them up, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you have to be careful that you don't knock yourself out because it's a pretty good tug, and then all of a sudden it breaks free. All right. So let's see. Now that we've pulled that off, you'll see the one trim piece screw in here. So the front one, that's the little one. So the T20. And just be careful you don't drop it into the area below it, because then you'll spend another 30 minutes looking for the screw. All right, so there's. Now we go to this pocket. Some folks have ashtrays in here, or the ashtray. This is just like a pocket and you lift the little rubber piece out, and you'll see 2 screws in there, and they're like, I think they're like plastic screws with some sort of expansion little plug. It's a T27. Undo that. Now sometimes you'll undo these, or you'll try to undo these screws, but they won't like lift up. So you might have to, let me show you here. What you might have to do, camera, okay. What you might have to do is kind of get your pick and put it underneath the screw here, and as you're unscrewing it, kind of lift it to give it some help. Alright. There. Alright, so careful you don't lose these. Give it a little tug. Alright, so these are the window switches. What I recommend is just make sure you remember which plug goes on which side. You can take your phone and take a picture of it, so that way you can refer to it. But we're going to remember the white side is towards the driver. I'm going to pop them off. Now they're not going to pop off this easily. They pop off easily because I've set them up this way. And sometimes when you try to pull them, they'll actually pull the switch out itself, which is okay because then you can just separate them and just plug the switch back in. The screws, I'll just leave them in the pocket here with the little rubber piece and put it to the party train. All right.
Yeah, the one good thing about the electrical connectors is to grab them by the plastic housing, not by the wires.
Oh yeah.
And you kind of wiggle them side to side as you're pulling off, and they'll unlock from the connector itself from the switch.
Exactly. Never ever pull wires or plugs from the wire. Definitely wiggle them. Great tip. Okay, you will find another screw underneath that ashtray or pocket. And for those of you that have an ashtray there, I believe there's a wire that's going to be this wire here, which is not being used in this car because it doesn't have an ashtray. But this wire here would be connected to, I think, the cigarette lighter or the little light that's there. All right. That one. Party train. Okay. Next up is this panel here. Now what you'll want to do again is this panel will pop, but it's going to be pretty tight. Don't want to break it. Just open this up. Alright, it'll pop out. Now what you want to do is immediately take some blue tape and cover this area right here on your emergency brake here. And the reason being is there's this little corner. There's a corner on the console that when you lift it out, that's going to possibly rub and scratch the leather. So just be careful with that. How am I doing, Peter? Other than slow.
Well, it looks like you have major skills.
Oh, thanks, man. Okay, continuing on, finding more screws that are holding the console to the car. So remove the little party train. Remove the rubber piece there. All right. So you find more screws. There's a screw at the rear of the console that we'll take out. Oh, that's too big. Hold on. Peter, do people do short shifter upgrades where you're at? Is it common or?
Nah, we haven't done that in a long time, really. It seems like maybe more so at the independent shops than at the dealer level.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the panel here. And there's a screw there. Actually, I'm just going to keep that in there. Keep everything in line. All right.
One thing that helps to take these things apart also, too, is get like a hook tool kit from maybe Harbor Freight or something like that. It's got like a little pin coming down with a 90-degree angle, and actually you can pull up like that little plastic panel in the back. It's easier to pull that up. There's no real way to grab it other than like with a little hook tool to pull it up.
Like this one?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I use this tool all the time. If you don't have one, get one. It's a lifesaver. Okay. Put that screw there. So there was 2 screws holding the bottom of the console to the rear here. And this next one is the one that is mysterious and a lot of people miss it. There's this. People probably don't even know what this is. I wonder if people know what this is. Hold on. Pull it out here. Does anybody know what this piece is right here? Peter, what is this piece?
It's a coin holder.
Coin holder. I can't think of anyone that has ever used this to put coins in their glove box, but that is a coin holder, and you actually have to pop it off, and it reveals the one last screw. So make sure you do that one before you frustrate yourself. All right. Are we getting any comments? Are people watching? Or is it just you and I that's online?
Yeah, I see 40 people watching.
Ah, cool. All right. So leave that there. Okay, so we've got all the screws that are holding the console. There is one connector underneath here, which I believe it's for the alarm, right? So when you're pulling it up, you got to make sure you disconnect that first. We're going to pull the e-brake up. And this is actually probably the hardest part. Somebody mentioned online, you spend most of your time figuring out how to pull this console out of the car than actually putting in the short shift kit itself. Okay, so I'm just getting ready, putting some blue tape on the console there. We're gonna lift up. Pops up pretty easily. Now there is that wire that I was telling you about underneath. So you can pull it through here. All right. Carefully pull this through. And just make sure you don't scratch anything. And voila, here we go. Console's out. Look at me, Peter.
You're a master.
All right. Set that on the ground carefully. Now we've exposed. All right, these are our wires for the windows. I'm gonna pull this piece off here. Just make sure. All right, next step is we have our 10mm bolts holding down the shifter. Any questions online yet, Peter?
No, not yet. Not that I can see.
Okay. So how different is this compared to a 997 or second gen?
It's pretty similar. A couple little things are different, but basically, once you've got this cover off, it's all the same thing.
One of the things I've noticed with this particular shifter versus the GT3 shifter that we're putting in is there's a lot more metal or aluminum, whatever the material is, in the GT3 shifter. Like this area. Oh, look how loose this is. Like this, like ball and socket. I mean, this car I think has 100 and some thousand miles on it. So these shifters probably do wear out, right?
Not really. We've actually had where the socket connector at the end of the shift cable, that will break, the little fingers that lock it into place.
Yeah.
And when those break, then all of a sudden you don't have any shifting ability, or the cables break themselves also too. So if you have to change out shift cables, you will have to take the center console out. Also, the e-brake handle will have to come up also, and the firewall, the top of the engine compartment. It's a little bit more work obviously involved with that.
Yeah, so someone had mentioned to me when I was telling you about how we're going to do this weekend is that some people, when they install the short shift kit, they replace the cables too. And I think are there upgraded cables, or like, I don't know, what would you
Not
replace?
that I know of. The on those boxes, the early boxes weren't really a problem. On the 987s, there were more problems with that. They had more of an angle to the gear shift lever or the gear shift assembly in the back on the transmission, and the bend created a problem where the cables would break at the back of the vehicle.
Ooh, and that's a pretty involved project, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's a little bit of work.
Yeah. All right, so I've got all my 10mm nuts loose here. When I'm disconnecting the cables, is there anything I need to know?
No, just left and right.
Okay.
They're pretty lined up already, but you have blue and black.
Okay, so blue is driver's side. Remind me if I forget. All right, so the shifter base is now loose, and to disconnect the cables, let me see if I can get the new one here. Let me show you here. All right, in the camera. So to disconnect the cables, you just push this here forward and then pop the cable out, and then it locks back in. Can you guys see that? Can you see that? Hopefully you can see it. Okay. Anyways, back to work. Okay, here we go. Nope. One's popped out. Second one's popped out. And then these lift out. Do these lift out a certain way, Peter? Off the shifter housing?
No, you just got to squeeze the connectors and pull them out.
Okay, got it.
Right at the end of the housing there.
Okay. This one's fighting me.
Yeah, you got to squeeze right at the top of it.
Squeeze on the front side?
Yeah, right there, the little tangs on the top, right at the top there, right next to the middle. You squeeze those together.
Uh-huh.
And it pops up.
Okay. Let me see if I can get. Right here?
And one thing I do also, I would take those out before you loosen up the housing. It makes it easier so you're not fighting yourself.
Oh, okay. All right, they're out now. Okay. All right. I think someone's got a question about B&M and something like that online. All right, so here is the old shifter. Can you guys see? There it is. And we take that one out. Ugh. Okay. Do you see, what's this connector in front of the shifter? It wasn't connected to anything before. Can you see it, Peter?
No, I don't.
Oh, I know. It's like a four lead electrical thing in front of the shifter. It was loose when I've seen it there before. Anyways, keep moving so we don't lose time. So here's the GT3 shifter. Notice it comes with this positioning tool to make sure when you're connecting the rods, it's exactly where it needs to be for center neutral. All right, lift up the cables. Set these down in place. These will pop in. There you go. I'm going to loosely put on the nuts here so I'm not fighting the shifter. How are you doing on time, Peter?
What are we, 24 minutes in?
Oh, not bad.
Maybe 20 minutes? Not bad.
Okay, cool. So some people have asked about like B&M and aftermarket shifters. Those are not factory shifters, right? Those are different. Those are,
Correct.
yeah.
Similar. It's basically a bunch of pieces. You have to take the original housing and swap pieces out.
Okay. And again, I think some of the aftermarket ones are a little bit more aggressive in terms of how much throw reduction there is. Okay, so now I'm going to pop the lines back in. They should snap. There you go, there's one. And there's a second one. All right, everything's locked in place. So at this point, Peter, I can remove this tool, right? Now that I've got
Yes.
the cables attached. Okay,
Once those are all locked in.
make sure the cables are locked in. They snap in. Hopefully you've heard that. Snap them in. All right, let me tighten down 10 millimeters. So Peter, you work at a dealership, so I'm assuming most of the cars you're working on these days are PDK cars, right?
Pretty much everything's PDK except for the purists who want the 6-speeds.
Yeah, but that's pretty rare. I mean, they sell what, like one manual to every 10 PDK cars or 9 PDK cars?
Pretty much, and you got to figure the Taycan's even worse because there is no shifting period.
Right.
Other than you got the turbo with the 2-speed rear end.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we get that discussion all the time. You know, a lot of our purists, and myself included, you know, I love the romance of shifting and getting the, you know, rev matching and doing all of that perfectly. It's very satisfying, but at the end of the day, if you're talking about just pure performance, the PDK is just so hard to beat compared to your traditional manual. But it depends on what you're using the car for. You know, for me, a lot of times it's not about ultimate performance, but it's about the engagement, the feel of the drive. And I'm just as happy driving a slow car with the manual and just, you know, just doing it just right around all the corners and shifting the gears. Okay, so I've tightened all the 10 mils. Double check the linkage. Everything is snapped in. Gotta remove this tool. If you do not remove this tool, you will not be shifting gears later. So it just pops off. Okay. And then, all right. Let's see here. We'll put this back on. What's nice with this shifter is everything is, you know, just, it is OEM, so everything just fits perfectly. All right, all our connectors are back. All right, console goes back in. Am I right?
Hey,
I think so.
make sure it shifts in all the gears.
Third, fourth. Ooh, nice and short too. Ooh, first, second, reverse. Man, almost like we know what we're doing. We're good. All right, so reverse, and then we'll be done. Ugh. Okay, so how different is doing something like this, Peter, in a 981?
A little bit more involved. Pretty similar though. It's just finding all the screws
Yeah.
to take it apart, and everything's hidden in places.
Yeah. So again, just be very careful. This is probably the most tricky part
of doing this thing is sliding it in and out without damaging anything. There we go. Everything down. Good. Okay, so remember you had that wire underneath the glove box, and you got to get that put back in. All right, we're about halfway through, Peter.
Yeah, you're about there. Actually, going together is easier.
Okay. All right. Okay. Everything looks tight. So before you tighten things down, just make sure you have access to the plugs, because I've done it before where I tighten everything down. I'm like, uh-oh, I can't reach the plugs. All right. There we go. So now we go reverse. To put everything back together, you go back to your coin. Your coin holder, and put this in. So hopefully this is a platform, Tech Tactics Live. You guys enjoy. This will be something that we'll do at PCA headquarters on occasion, but we're looking to bring this rig at events and at other locations to make it interesting. Just another platform for us to be able to share Porsche knowledge. And you know, it'll be much better to have an expert work on the car and me ask all the questions as opposed to me working on it, because sometimes I just don't know what I'm doing. So if you like this, obviously make sure you subscribe to the channel. Subscribe somewhere here, and if you like it, you know, would appreciate you clicking the like button. All right, so that's tight. And with this plastic stuff, don't go crazy, because this stuff can be pretty brittle and crack on you. So the coin holder goes back in, snaps into place, and now this is very elementary for Peter. I've seen Peter where he has sent me pictures of like a complete wire harness out of a Cayenne or a Macan or something, and it amazes me how you're able to know where things go back, Peter.
A lot of guessing, a lot of pictures. It's nice to have an iPhone that you can take 1,000 pictures with.
Yeah.
Back in the day, it was really hard.
Yeah. Tell me, you know, when I work on my own car, I call you all the time, probably more than you like. But it really helps to have someone with experience kind of walk you through things, just to give you really, either the little tips like that coin holder tip, but just to give you that confidence that you can pull a little bit harder, or, you know, because sometimes you just don't know. And with someone like Peter or within PCA or these forums, they can give you great advice to do it right. And so at the dealer, who do you turn to, Peter?
That's a tough one, because, I mean, we have a tech line that we actually call, but most of the guys just sit behind a desk and they look at paper information. Some of them are past techs, but if we have a current car with a problem, let's say you got a Taycan, you've got to change a battery in it, there's nobody really for us to talk to. We just have to go by the factory manual and what they tell us how to do it.
Yeah. And that's got to be a little nerve-wracking too, right? I mean, doing it for the first time or something.
Yeah, a few years ago I had to build a 2015 GT3 engine. They didn't have a class, but I had to build one by just using manuals.
Alright, so I am snapping on the side panel piece here. Still going along the party train and putting everything back into its place, securing the center screw. What other things do you think we could do for future Tech Tactic live sessions that we can do in about an hour? DIY stuff.
One thing might be good is like, I think we might have discussed this, possibly like pollen filter changes in all the vehicles, or most of them actually.
Oh, okay, yeah.
A lot of people don't know where they're at. A lot of people don't even realize they have a pollen filter to change out.
Yeah, I think in like my Cayenne, there's one in the like below the glove box or something, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
996s, 997s are underneath the front cowling.
Okay. All right, so I'm putting the window switches back in. This actually has heated seats. That's pretty cool. So the white one was driver's side, right? I said white driver's side. Say yes, Peter.
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, so they will snap in. This one will snap in. And you can hear them click as they go in. All right, make sure they're nice and snug. All right. Okay. Put this back in. All right, then you have your screws. Whoa. Yeah, the biggest thing is not to drop these screws, because if it goes under the seat, your job just went 20 minutes longer because you gotta go look for it. So your dealership, Peter, their showroom is probably closed, but the service is still open?
Service is still open. The showroom is closed except by appointment only. Most of the stuff is done over the internet.
Yeah.
So we really are, all our lights are off, all the doors are locked. Nobody can come into the showroom.
Oh,
We don't have any customers waiting for cars. There's no waits. We've told our customers, do not get out of your car. We bring the paperwork to you, sign it, and as soon as you sign it, you get out of the car and you walk out of the dealership.
Oh, okay.
Kind of rude, but that's the way things are nowadays. Till we figure this
Yeah,
out.
well, keeps everybody safe, right? So,
Correct.
all right. My next screw here. The last screw, oh, no, not the last screw, second to last screw. The last console screw up front here. All right. Snug there. Back to our shifter. Okay. Slides right down. Then you're gonna use your 5mm socket. Oh, not this 5mm socket. Your 5mm Allen to tighten it. Again, you don't need to go crazy on it. It's a set screw. So just snug up against the shift rod is fine. You have two prongs at the front of the shift boot that you need to make sure it goes underneath. And then you're looking for the little snaps. Snap, 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 snap. Fix the shifter boot. And the end of the line is our last trim piece. Maybe I should have put that in first, huh? No? That's in, everything's tight. Now you can see the difference in shifter travel. Definitely shorter than before. Look at that. But still, it's not too heavy. Very positive, easy to find all the gears. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think that is it for this Tech Tactics Live, the first one here at PCA's Garage. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, please like, please subscribe. And Peter, thank you for hanging out with us. And we'll catch you next time with another project. See ya.
Sounds like a plan. Thank you.
Bye.